It feels like only yesterday that Smash on the 3DS and Wii U was finally in our hands after the long ride on the hype train. And while the history of the game might still be fresh in our heads, I'm going to cover it anyways because formality. Let's go all the way back to Nintendo's E3 2011 press conference. Satoru Iwata was on stage to let everyone know that he had talked with Masahiro Sakurai about what he would do after Kid Icarus Uprising, and I'm sure it went something like this. So, Mr. Sakurai, have you given any thoughts about what you want to do after Kid Icarus Uprising?
Say Smash Brothers, say Smash Brothers, say Smash Brothers.
Well, Mr. Iwata, I was thinking maybe, possibly, I could do a Smash Brothers for both the 3DS and the Wii U, and maybe have a way for them to interact with each other. But I'm not entirely sure of how possible that's going to be. So, for the meantime, I'd rather not say anything until... Mr. Iwata? Hey everyone! We're making Smash for 3DS and Wii U! Pre-ordering right now! PS4 doesn't stand a chance! Not again! Yes, Iwata just went out and said that there would be 2 Smash games coming out, and no work was done on them, just like with Brawl. Why? Because Smash is a system seller. All you needed to do to get us cheering is say a new Smash game is on the way for your new console, even if no one has done a thing except ponder it in a casual conversation.
What Mr. Sakurai suggested then was a specific idea to make Smash Brothers for both Nintendo 3DS and Wii U.
He really did have the heart of a gamer. E3 2012 came and went, and nothing about Smash was said, which was understandable, as the game at that time only had about 3 months of development behind its belt. And yet, even the smallest bit of info would satisfy the starving fans. And about a few weeks after E3, give or take, they told us that Bandai Namco was co-developing the game. Knowing that the company behind big fighting games such as Tekken and Soul Calibur were taking on the project was something I took as a good sign, as it felt like they were getting help from a company who knew a thing or two about fighting games. And even more great news, Sakurai said that he was having other people help him balance the game, as in the past, he did all the balancing himself. And yes, even this would have been enough for us at E3. Another year passes, and we get to Nintendo's E3 2013 Direct. This is when we got our first look at the game in a glorious trailer that showed how the Wii U and 3DS versions would look, along with 3 new characters. The Villager, who became a meme in no time. This one is my favorite. Wii Fit Trainer was revealed later at E3 and was thought to be the joke character, but turned out it wasn't. Then there's the most exciting one of the bunch. He was a highly requested third-party character who seemed to have fallen off the face of the planet as the man behind the Mega left Capcom and 4 of his games were cancelled with no games of his own in sight. And how did Inafune respond to that? By saying he couldn't wait to beat his kids up with Mega Man. He's a wonderful father. I hope he wrecks them with no mercy. A website similar to how Brawl did their updates went live that showed a screenshot every weekday, and a little caption for them was posted on Miiverse. It wasn't as exciting as Brawl's, but it wasn't as spoiler-filled, so fast forward to almost a year later, because trying to cover all the newcomers and characters would take forever. A Smash Direct was announced for April 8th, 2014, and that was when all the fans finally started to get some more concrete information on the upcoming titles, and another new character was shown at the end, Greninja, who was so amazing, they had to nerf it. A lot. And then made him better. At E3 2014, we got 3 more characters. First were the Miis that came in 3 fighting flavors. Next was Palutena, who they showed right away, ruining the surprise, but the anime part was nice. And after the Smash Bros. Invitational, or as everyone will remember it as, Super Fighting Goomba! Pac-Man was revealed behind closed doors at a roundtable discussion. It's a little disappointing that it wasn't broadcasted live like all the others, but hey, it's Pac-Man! Good to see he got an invite, even though he was highly expected since he is Bandai Namco's most famous character, and Shigeru Miyamoto really wanted him to get in, as he's a big fan of the yellow pizza missing a slice. And I love his inclusion because he references Sky Kid. That game is a treasure in my family! Though there was a sad day for Smash fans, as a leak in August of 2014 was spread over the internet, spoiling the rest of the main cast of fighters, unlockable fighters, and the stages in the 3DS version. There were other leaks in the past, like the one called Gamatsu, who got 6 characters right, including the Wii Fit Trainer, which gave instant credibility because no one would ever guess that one, but it died after Robin and Lucina were announced instead of Chrom. This leak, however, had pictures and video footage that was quickly pulled because Nintendo doesn't like people who can't keep secrets. I feel really bad for the team that some of their surprises were leaked, but it almost feels like karma considering how many games they spoil. Still, it doesn't mean the leakers have the right to ruin it for everyone. We may be dying for info, but we want it to come from the developers, not you guys. On that note, Nintendo accidentally showed Ganondorf in a video. It's like Brawl all over again. October 2014 had a direct for the Wii U version that told players what they can expect in this version, and they can download Mewtwo for free if they register both versions before a deadline on their Club Nintendo account. Own a 2-disc soundtrack of the game, which is nice I guess, even though you could listen to the music in the game. The game came out as expected, unless you count the summer release date, but Japan still hit that, so... The Wii U version would hit its holiday release of November 21st, 2014 in the US. Even after its release, more exciting things happened, and while it's not based on the game's development, I do have to bring this up because of the impact it had on the Smash community. At the time, no one could disprove it, and hopes were raised! Then dashed to pieces, because as quickly as it took off, it was quickly revealed to be done by a fan who did it as a way to promote his video series of making renders of requested characters for how they might look in Smash. That almost went hand in hand, as in April, we were told Lucas would be DLC, and that we could vote for a character we wanted to have in Smash! Discussions and debates went up again, polls that were completely inaccurate flooded the internet, and character campaigns were everywhere, and it was all in good fun. While it lasted. Sadly, once Mewtwo became available, data miners discovered 2 character victory themes and a Kirby track from the N64 game. Those 2 "I won, woohoo" songs had names to them that belonged to Roy from Fire Emblem and Ryu from Street Fighter? It was hard to believe until more data miners came forth and said the exact same thing. Right before E3 2015, we were given yet another Smash Direct because no one objects to more Smash stuff. This time it was about DLC Wave 2. But then another problem arose as the update for the game went up earlier than expected in Japan, and the data miners quickly uncovered about 90% of what was going to be in the Direct, including the victory videos of Roy and Ryu. Seriously, did those guys really feel the need to spoil it a day before it was going to be announced? Keep it to yourselves once in a while! After that update, Nintendo finally learned their lesson and made sure that the files were either encrypted or had one name to them so that no one outside of Nintendo could really guess who or what was there. In November 2015, we learned that Cloud Strife somehow joined the battle with a line I couldn't agree more with, but man was it amazing! And just 1 month later, we got a final presentation that showed the last Mii costumes and our remaining 2 DLC characters. The first one was mostly met with criticism and complaints that probably won't end until the next Smash. Followed by the ballot winner, who I think would never have gotten in without the ballot. And with that lovely history that we can now have documented to look back on with fond and bitter memories, let's finally go over these games!
For being a hedgehog, Sonic really isn't very spiky, is he? I've changed my mind. He's entirely too spiky!
Let's start small and see how many things I can go over. The only 3 modes to not make it back this time are a single-player adventure-type mode like Adventure in Subspace, Chronicles and No One Cares, and no boss battles. I mean, you can still smack some bosses around, but it's, how do I put this? You only beat them up so they go away. The problem is they're not gone for good and come back sooner than they should. Looking at you, Yellow Devil! As for changes to the existing modes, it goes like this. You have Trophy Rush instead of that shooting minigame. Break the Targets was replaced by Target Blast that strongly resembles another game about launching circular objects to knock out targets. You know, that old computer game that I can't remember the name of? You can't continue in All-Star mode, and it's now a default mode instead of having to unlock it, but only the fighters you've unlocked are invited. One-on-one, aka For Glory, was added to the online mode, along with Conquest and Tourney mode. But Home Run Contest and Multi-Man Smash with Friends Online was removed. I said online, it's still in the game itself. Oh, and there's a rival in the Multi-Man Smash options. Just thought I should at least mention that. Stickers feel like they were replaced by custom moves and equipment. Classic mode has a sort of choose your path for both versions, co-op on the Wii U. Master Hand and Crazy Hand will hinge in on a high enough difficulty with an extra one for the Wii U. You always have 2 stock in each match every time, and I love that. But it no longer has a bonus round, and on the Wii U, you get the feeling that the game just doesn't like you sometimes. And then that feeling becomes mutual. As for the new additions, they are pretty much split between the 3DS and Wii U, so let's look at what Smash Red has to itself. Smash Run, Street Pass... Wait, that's it? A for effort? Smash Blue has Smash Tour, Paint, Master and Crazy Orders, Special Smash, Trophy Gallery, 8-Player Smash, Stage Builder, and Events. And I'm giving the nod to the 3DS in this round because there's no other mode I play more besides Versus than run around and beat up everything.
No contest.
I'll go over some of the others in more detail later, but the rest of the stuff is just kind of there as a distraction, but hey, it doesn't hurt the game that much, or at all, so it's no biggie. Now let's see how many changes I can list off from the actual Smash mechanics themselves. The glide mechanic from Brawl was cut, and there was much rejoicing. Random tripping, the mechanic that made players groan because it made them a wide open target at the worst possible time, was removed, and there was much rejoicing! Characters who had split personalities are now stable to just one character. Rapid attacks now have a finishing move, and if you try to rely on just that, you'll find the results very unsatisfying. You have to wait a second or two before you can grab the same person again, which means that cheap chain grabbing ability is gone! Well, kind of, but it's nowhere near as bad as before, and ledges allow you to bump the other guy off, which can allow for some punishment if you're not prepared. Good riddance, Edgehogging, I always hated you! Already I'm enjoying this so much as it feels more fair and less annoying. In my opinion, if you could just trap someone in an infinite combo, then it basically becomes the first one to land a hit wins. Might as well just be sudden death all the time if the game was like that. There have been some advanced techniques and glitches found, but with updates and patches that may get rid of them, I don't see a reason to go over them. I just wish they didn't get rid of my replays, which, hey, it's nice to know that they can save matches longer than 3 minutes this time, though the YouTube uploader sucks for following that old method. Speaking of underperforming, dodge rolling and sometimes just blocking in general is one of the worst options you can do! But it was so effective in Brawl, it's been really hard to kill that old habit, and instead I'm the one that dies. I guess shields are only good for breaking. One noticeable new addition are the custom moves. Fighters now have 2 extra versions of the specials to choose from. Though most of them are the same move with different attributes, some characters do get new moves altogether. But not a lot of them. There's also equipment that can enhance your strength, defense, or speed, but will also decrease one of the others. Also, some of them may give your character a certain ability, like always holding a bomb at the start of a battle. Kinda reminds me of the stickers used in Subspace. Only, better. While these can be fun to mess around with, you can't use them in the With Anyone online mode, just locally and online with friends. But beyond that, the main gameplay of Smash is updated for the better to feel like a mix of Melee and Brawl speed and gravity, and lots of different ways to enjoy the game. Speaking of which...
Oh, look! It's Diddy Kong!
He's Donkey Kong's little buddy.
Hey, little buddy. Only one thing worse than a bruised banana. Oh, a bruised butt.
It's very predictable about what I enjoyed the most about this iteration of Smash. It's pretty much what I've always loved. More characters, more stages with all of them having a final destination form, more music that's wonderful when they don't share a track with another, and more of those little changes that make the game feel better, like smash attacks can now be charged using the C-Stick. That's putting it in a narrow scope. To go into a little more detail, it's how it feels as if all the characters can really hold their own ground, with my 2 favorite veterans Sonic and DK feeling more viable than ever before. Sonic now has some punch to him, especially in his up smash, and DK was given super armor in both his up special and giant punch, plus his down special and forward special can obliterate shields. While I do think that there are some things that could be worked on in the balance department, we do get updates that usually fix the biggest offenders. Isn't that right, hoo-ha? But more than not, it's really about the many changes I wanted that somehow were actually made in these games. Yeah, I have to bring this up. Back in 2010, I made a list of 10 changes I would make for the next Smash installment after Brawl. Of the technically 14 changes in the list, guess how many of them actually happened? More than I'd ever thought possible, and then some! The video quality is terrible by my editing abilities of today, and the narration will cure your insomnia, but good lord, seeing how many changes actually happened is mind-boggling! Moving on to stages, I love the new Star Fox level, and the Easter egg they continue to give them, and the gamer level, so more people will know about my nightmares! The 3DS has a couple of levels I enjoy, such as Gerudo Valley, Mute City, and Magicant. Yes, I even like the Flying Men, once I've recruited them in Classic mode, that is. Even stages I didn't like before have now been given an Omega makeover. Smash Run feels like an action RPG where you increase your stats in 5 minutes in somewhat generic locations, but uses enemies that are very recognizable that range from many of the different franchises, and I can't help but love the fact that the Kremlings are in here because I miss turning these guys into suitcases. The enemies in bonus rooms are random each time, plus you can use specials such as meteor showers, giant lasers, and super armor that doesn't quit until it clocks out. I also like to use it as a way of testing out characters and messing around with the custom moves. It has a lot of freedom in how you want to play through it. Plus, the final battles are different each time instead of what Smash Tour does, but we'll get there later. I love how all your alternate costumes are saved to your name in the 3DS. I wish the Wii U version did that as well. The Wii U version doesn't really have that much in terms of really good exclusive content to keep my attention, but it does have plenty of control options, and so far the online support seems stronger in my opinion than the 3DS, and since that's the main replay value of the series, you know, versus mode, I tend to stick with the Wii U version. The online for both isn't perfect, and still suffers from lag spikes, disconnects, and button lag, but it's still a step up from Brawl. I do wish lag compensation was a thing here, and yes, that does exist, but what are you gonna do? I mean, yeah, there's Ethernet cables, but I haven't had any success with those, and I don't understand why. Campers were a problem before, especially when everyone would just go up against you for not taunting. But now you can report them, so go ahead and try that again. It won't get you very far. Even if that doesn't solve the problem, Team Smash helps even the odds. That's just for fun, though. For Glory has 3 little sections, but the only one that matters is one-on-one. Sadly, there's been an increase in the people that use their name tags as a way to send vulgar and racist insults, and while I'm not sure if you can report them for that, you can at least block them. It's a shame not everyone is a good sport. I should really make those. And that's just creepy, but flattering. I love all the tiny little things like using the actual sound effects such as Mario's cape, or the Crash Bomber exploding. The main smashing sound effects also sound, how do I put this? Crunchier, smackier, better. I love the lines that cut through the air that highlight their speed, the dark lines that indicate an almost certain KO, and how many of the characters have a more updated animation like Luigi's flutter jump, the screen KO that never gets old, or even how DK celebrates a victory. I could watch that for hours, but we don't have time for that, so let's move on. In my honest opinion, DLC for Smash is good as it's made after the game came out, with the prices being fair for new characters, stages, and Mii costumes. By the way, those Mii costumes are the reason I've been playing as the Miis now. The amiibos, on the other hand, well, I thought they were good, but now I'm not too sure because it feels like a lie. The 2 best things about amiibos in Smash are they can be very tough, and they can give you bonuses. That's all well and good, but it doesn't exactly allow you to train an FP to have your exact moves or combos. Here, let me show you. I've retrained my Sonic amiibo about 5 times, and I've noticed something. It would never do this, or this, or this, or use the homing attack or run attack unless it did something I didn't tell it to do. Its favorite move is the forward air, an attack I barely used when training it. Once I trained it to level 50, I put it up against a level 9 Sonic, and I noticed that it was copying it more than it copied me! Remember the running attack and homing attack? It wouldn't use them until it did a down grab for running and a homing attack after an up grab. Amiibos are stronger than most CPUs, so you are fighting an opponent who gets some unfair advantages like having better resistance, as well as doing more damage and having more launch power. And that's not even with custom moves or equipment, but I can't help but feel a little disappointed that it's nothing more than a level 10 computer on steroids. Overall, the Amiibo support is good because they do give you presents and present a challenge, but it won't feel like a teacher-student thing. And on that less than stellar note, let's go over the negatives.
The goal remains the same: to fight and win! I won't lie. I'm a little scared.
Most of my issues are based more on things that disappointed me or felt awkward. Nothing too heavy on the game itself, aside from one major issue, and while a number of modes lose their charm and replay value rather quickly, the core feature of the game itself is still very strong and arguably better than ever. I just want to make that clear from the start. The main reason I only play Smash Run instead of playing the 3DS online modes is actually because of the thumb pad and C-stick. I prefer using the GameCube and classic controllers because of those little slits that make the directional input less likely to be misread. I don't know what it is, but somehow when I play someone online with a 3DS, it can very easily misread my inputs, whether it's smash attacks, run attacks, or forward attacks. Not to mention those times where I tried to recover, but I did a side B instead, and I know I'm not the only one who's fallen victim to that. This is my biggest problem with the 3DS version, and why I'd rather play on the Wii U. On a somewhat similar yet smaller problem is the C-stick. It's a little more accurate for performing smash attacks and aerial attacks without costing momentum. Yes, I am aware of the new 3DS's C-stick, but I don't have one, and the ones that I've tried at stores feels like pushing a Snorlax up a mountain. And it shares the same problem I have with the gamepad and Wii U Pro controller, the placement. The second analog is above the buttons, and to me it just feels so weird and something I can't use. We all have mental blocks, people, and this is one of mine. Plus, they don't have those slits I mentioned earlier like the GameCube and Classic controller do. That might come off as shallow, but I've never had those controls, and thus those problems before in the past, which is why I prefer to play on the Wii U, so I can avoid improper button inputs, when it isn't beyond my control. Whenever I start to have some online connection issues, I notice that the C-Stick would just make a normal attack instead of doing what I wanted it to do. This makes no sense whatsoever. Event modes have never felt so torturous before. Can you say unfair? Cause I can say some more stuff, but there are younger viewers here. I'm gonna list off the ones that boil my blood. Giant heavy robot with insane reach. Invisible and nearly dead. Screw you, Little Mac, and eat for your life. There have been a few I liked, but the vein-popping ones completely overpower them, especially when trying to clear them on the hard difficulty. From what I've read in the comments, it's either one or the other when it comes to Smash Run and Smash Tour. You know how I feel about Smash Run, so let me explain why I'm not fond of Smash Tour. 1. You can't pick your characters. You get what you're given. 2. It's always going to end in the same predictable showdown. And 3. You know how I said Smash Run felt like an action RPG? Well, Smash Tour feels like a very sluggish turn-based RPG. I'm not saying all turn-based RPGs are bad, Pokemon is one of my favorites, but this feels as exciting as it is to watch. Of course you can use things to protect yourself or mess with others to make things interesting, and some events pop up, and with non-computer players, it can be a nice distraction. But I almost never play this mode because I'd rather play a good Mario Party game instead. Unlocking characters in both versions is rather underwhelming and quicker compared to the previous installments. But I'm kind of over that now. There are some great new music tracks here along with tracks brought in from other games, and God bless you Sakurai for putting in 2 tracks from the wonderful 101! But it does kind of bother me that a lot of the new tracks share the same place with another roommate, and one seems to get more space than the other. They don't even put Heatman's name on the door, that's just sad! And then finally, my biggest disappointment with the games, which was the very first thing we heard about, the lack of uses for connecting the Wii U and 3DS. All you can do is bring custom characters from one version to the other, or use the 3DS to play on the Wii U. Which works for those that like that option, yes, those players actually exist. The thing is, this was one of the only few details we knew about when these games were first announced, and it feels very limited. Let me explain. I did all the challenges, cleared Classic and All-Star with every character, and got all the custom moves for each fighter on the 3DS. But when the Wii U version came out, I groaned at the idea of doing everything all over again and just lost interest in trying to accomplish everything. The differences between them are so minimal that I really have to ask why didn't they set it up to where your achievements can be carried over to the other version? And don't tell me it's because of Master Fortress, the different trophies for All-Star, or the rewards for the challenges. If they wanted to, they could have set it up to have the same rewards and unlockables, but they didn't do it that way. It's as frustrating as them giving you custom moves you've already unlocked. Why did they set it up like this? I don't think I can blame one game or the other. They both kind of share the fault of making me do everything twice.
What's a KO?
Good luck, Bit.
Alright folks, it's time to wrap it all up. The 3DS is not a poor man's version of Smash. For crying out loud, it can do 60 frames per second even with the 3D turned on. What's your excuse, Pokemon? Still love ya. And I do feel that collecting everything on this version is the easiest one to do as it's portable, enough said. Smash Run alone feels like it compensates for the lack of other modes, and from what I've tested, the local stuff like Versus, Smash Run, and Co-op All-Star work great. My biggest problem is the circle pad. It does an admirable job, but it's certainly one I can't trust in For Glory mode. To be honest, if it didn't have Smash Run, I probably wouldn't play Smash on the 3DS anymore. Your experience may differ, as would your recommendation level, as I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It's an enjoyable experience for those who can play it. The Wii U is another thing entirely. The extra modes don't exactly make me want to play them more than the online mode, and while I might have some C-Stick troubles online, it's usually when the connection isn't strong and I never encounter them offline. And when I look at all the modes collectively, it feels like they were designed for people who wanted to enjoy Smash for something other than fighting, and the developers try to put in as much as possible to cater to the desires of other players. Most of us go right for the battles anyway, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, I went a little long in the negatives, but those are little gripes compared to the overall great experience I've had. All the great updated mechanics work here as well, and thanks to the many types of controls, this is the version I prefer, and that's not even taking the better visuals and more soundtracks into account. A 5 out of 5, it's a great game to add to your collection. Satoru Iwata was on stage to let everyone know that he had talked with Masahiro Sakurai about what he would do after I know someone is going to say that you can hack the 3DS to use a GameCube controller, but that would mean you would have to carry that controller around with you, and trying to hold that and the 3DS at the same time kinda loses its portable convenience if you ask me. Want to hear a popular opinion? Tourney mode needs some improvements. I know a lot of people out there want to have one-on-one styles, more options, and to have it offline, and I'm all for that. The thing I want added to it is offline and online amiibo tournaments. You know that would be pretty cool. And lag would never be an issue. I noticed this in Street Pass and I couldn't find a good place to bring it up. It's the only time I've heard the Pac-Man death cry. I have no idea why they didn't use it for his KO star. I think that would have fit pretty well, don't you? I can understand losing the connection while playing online, but how is it even possible I can be disconnected when I'm just watching replays? There's always going to be something I've forgotten or left out, but as long as it isn't important, it shouldn't be a problem. Like Global Smash Power. I almost completely forgot about that, and I don't think I've met one person who actually cares. 2 things I've noticed about Conquest. 1, it is not free from errors. King DDD is on the other team. And 2, it's the only time in the game I've seen them call Mega Man a super fighting robot. Love those little nods. Paint mode is a lot better than most people give credit for. Now I can take a sigh of relief. It's finally over! And once I finish the Show Me Your Moves tournament, I think that'll be it for Smash stuff on my channel for a while. I'll address future lists, reviews, and other projects I have planned in an update video that, trust me, you guys will want to see. If things go well, one of my promises will be kept. But only if I can get it to work. I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos, and I'll see you soon in the upcoming update. Later, everyone!